Hey everyone, this is Nova, and today we're going to do something a little different. Our system was recently tagged in a Mental Health 2018 tag by the Labyrinth system, so I'm going to be answering some questions about that. So the first one is, what is your mental illness? And I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if we talked about the extent of our diagnoses yet, but so far we're officially diagnosed with D.I.D, depression, anxiety, and those are the official diagnoses. But we've been showing signs for OCD since we were like 3 years old, and so we just haven't gone through the problematic process of getting diagnosed for that, and some form of eating disorder. The second question is, when were you diagnosed? So for the depression, that was the one we got diagnosed with first. We were about 14 years old, I think. I've only been here for about a year, so I'm not completely accurate with things. And then the anxiety and D.I.D were diagnosed our freshman year in college, which was May of 2016, I think. Yeah. So the next question is, who knows about it? This is a little bit difficult to answer because we've got our advocacy channels on YouTube, and we're out on Tumblr and Instagram, but in real life, I think we try to keep it to like friends and decent acquaintances, like basically anyone who's not going to be a dick about it, pretty much. If people seem interested, we'll tell them, but if they don't really seem like the type who'd want to listen to something like our whole spiel about what's wrong with us, we kind of keep that on the DL. But the entirety of the art department in our school knows about it because our thesis is literally about our mental health and mental illness and teaching people about that. So, kind of everybody, but selectively. What treatment have you had? So we've been through a few different therapists. Like when our parents were getting a divorce, we went to one therapist, and she really didn't have our best interests in mind. It was more of a get ammo to use it against the other parent, and back and forth kind of garbage. So we've seen, let's see, 2, 3, 4, about 6 different therapists for varying times. Our most recent one was, he seemed like he had a good idea on how to handle our case, but we were obviously overwhelming, so we stopped seeing him after a while. So we've had a bunch of different therapies, and then we also have had some experience with medications. So we've been on propranolol, which is it's kind of a take as you need it kind of anxiety medicine, and we forget we have it the majority of the time, but when we need it, it's there, so it's nice. And then about a year and a half ago, we tried going on antidepressants for about a month, a few weeks. And the problem with that one is it made it more difficult to switch. And that was extremely difficult because we were going through a really rough time at that point. So we needed to be able to switch. So we kind of quit it cold turkey, in all honesty. And that was that. We haven't looked back since then. And number 5 is the hardest part about living with a mental illness. I'd have to say the memory loss and the way people don't believe you when you say it. Because we've tried to speak to a lot of people, particularly our dad, about this issue, and people just won't believe you. If you say you have D.I.D, people will say, that's too rare, you can't have that, you wouldn't know if you had that disorder. And that's not how these things work. So I guess to condense it into one phrase is the stigma. So that's the hardest part, is other people. The illness itself isn't really that bad if you like have the proper support and care, but it's just other people that make it more difficult. Question number 6 is something that surprised you about your illness or recovery. I guess the part that surprised us most is how alters are so much like other people, and they can change and have roles that you never expect them to have. Take Parsifal, for example. We thought he was like the scariest persecutor out there, and he was just a giant douchebag. but it turns out that he was the primary trauma holder and the first altar that was created besides Devon, and that was really surprising. And then as more altars are emerging like these days, they really tie into our childhood and things that happened back then. So like, yeah, different types of altars and what they do and how they change really surprised us the most. And number 7 is, what is one thing you are going to do differently this week to spread awareness for mental health? This week, I think I'm just going to keep doing what we've been doing, you know? We've got a bunch of videos we were going to make and some art to work on, like something great that recently happened that we got recognized with our school with is this sculpture right here. I made that myself in the welding shop. I welded this beast, and this is my baby. And one of the professors actually came to us and asked for us to put this up on the wall, like as a permanent installation. And this piece itself is about, I guess, a fragmentation of the mind for people with like D.I.D or OSDD, and I just found that really fascinating as to like how people are really receiving this well. So I'm gonna keep it up with like art, and I might start doing some more like little digital drawings, and I'll try to post some of those on our other social media accounts, and yeah, spread the awareness. And the last question is, if there was one message you would want to share with the world, what would it be? I guess I could say that mental illnesses really aren't as rare as people think they are. I mean, even for things like D.I.D or schizophrenia, or things you'd see as rare and scary, the percentage of people seen with disorders like this are 1 to 3%, which is, if you think about it, it's 1 to 3 people out of 100. It's really not that rare. Mental illness isn't that rare, and it shouldn't be so seen as scary or just weird, because that's the way a lot of people live, and for them it's just life. So my message is just chill out. No. And for them it's just their life. It's not some horror movie twist or something to look at and fear. It's just life, you know? And so, let's see. Alright, those were all the questions in the tag. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to tag Acrylic Chasers and the Amplexus system to do this challenge next. And if anybody else wants to do it, I'm going to post a little copy of the questions down in the description, so feel free to answer that if you'd like. Anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next time.